and 7 Spanish angels took another angel home. Hey, I'm Willie Nelson, and you're watching HempRock TV. We don't run, and we don't compromise, we don't quit, we never do.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am MSgt Tony Vance, the voice of Freedom's Voice. We're here with our grandpa's World War I veterans cap on. We got our Freedom Isn't Free coffee cup that supported American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial. Pretty nice. You can see that. Anyway, here we are doing another show. Cancer treatment been stretched out. I'll tell you about that at the end of the show. Let's talk about buying power. Say, what is buying power? Buying power is the ability of a class of people to that their purchases would drive an economy. The spending, people buy stuff, creates demand. Demand forces people to build another factory to meet that demand. Jobs are created, and that works. The original plan to drive our economy was that the spending of the middle class and the poor, their buying power, their purchasing power, would drive the economy. And that goes right along with what the great comedian Will Rogers said. He said, you give the money to a poor person, a rich man will have it in 24 hours. But at least the poor person would have gotten some use out of it. And that's the whole theory. From the end of the war until the end of World War II until 1980. That was the going premise. Matter of fact, in 1968, John Kenneth Galbraith, the #1 economist at the time, and 1,200 other economists signed a letter calling for a universal basic income. We give a basic income to the people spend it, it drives the economy, the rich end up with it anyway, you know? But guys like you and me get some use out of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that was the idea of how the economy would work. Well, 1980, Ronald Reagan and his boys changed all that. They turned that upside down. They said, look, here's what you got to do. You got to give money to rich people because they'll take that money and they'll invest it, and that will create jobs, and that will drive the economy. Nice load of bull. Sounded good. A lot of people fell for it. But what it was actually a war on the federal government. That guy, last name Norquist, was running around with his anti-tax pledge. Americans Against Taxes, or whatever the hell his group was. And if you don't think they were serious about their war on the federal government, which ended up being a war on all the rest of us, then just listen to what Norquist had to say. He said, oh, we don't want to get rid of the federal government. We just want to shrink it down to the size where we can drown it in a bathtub. Why would wealthy people and rich people want to destroy the federal government? Because the federal government's the only one who can place taxes on them, can force them to pay their fair share. They don't build factories if there's no demand, and there is no demand. Now, right now there is, but we'll get to that. If there's no demand, I mean, come on. If you're a factory owner and you're making widgets, high quality widgets, but you're not selling, you can't sell, you're not selling all the widgets coming out of your factory. You're not going to build another factory. That would be insane. There's no demand for the widgets. Why would you build another factory? So that makes sense. You have to create demand. And giving money to the wealthy does not create demand. It does just the opposite. And if you don't think our economy was in crap shape just prior to the pandemic, then please explain to me why credit companies were boosting your credit score. Remember those commercials, the guy riding on a cow? Boost your credit. Now, why in the hell would they want to boost your credit score? My score is already bad enough I can't buy nothing. And I probably shouldn't anyway. Because they're trying to create demand. Without demand, nothing happens. And if you give poor people money, they have to spend it to survive. That creates demand. Look at the stimulus. What did the stimulus do? The stimulus gave people money, period, to help them get through the pandemic and the crisis. Well, that money created demand. And the problem with our economy is not jobs. It's that demand is higher than the supply chain can keep up with. And that's because those people got all that money. Now things are starting to even out and everything. But the stimulus proves that as a driver of our economy, a universal basic income is truly the answer. First of all, it would end abject poverty in America for good, forever. You turn 21, you start getting a check from the government for $1,000 a month. That's it. You spend that money, your spending creates demand. People build factories to meet that demand. The economy buzzes right along. Now, things are pretty good right now, but that's because of the stimulus. Created all that demand. If we did institute a universal basic income, we'd probably have to do it gradually. Because if you did it all at once, you're going to have a supply chain can't keep up with the demand. But to explain the turning upside down of the equation, say, no, you don't want to give money to the poor and middle class, great man. You want to give money to the wealthy and they'll invest it and that'll create jobs. Except they aren't going to invest it if they can't sell their widgets. And believe me, right now, widgets ain't selling. Well, right now, demand's come up because of the stimulus, because we gave people money. This crap about you have to work to eat or you'll starve to death. That might have worked in 1700, but it don't work now. We can create a just and equitable, not equal, equitable economy where when the CEO of an organization gets a 416% pay raise and his employees are still getting minimum wage, there is definitely something wrong. Now, we can't force companies to pay a minimum wage, a decent minimum wage. We can try, but what do we got? 7.25. For how long? Forever. We can do all kinds of shit, but the simplest thing that we could do is just create a universal basic income. Why do you get that money? Because you're a citizen. Period. It's your share of the wealth. It's your physical connection to your federal government and your country and the rest of your citizens. Reagan and his boys in 1980 flipped that upside down and said, well, no, you don't give money to people who will spend it. You give money to people who will invest it. That key, invest it. but you're not going to invest it if you can't sell the crap you got coming out of the business you already got going on. It just ain't going to work. I mean, from the end of the war until 1980, a guy could work 40 hours, support a family of 4. Mom could stay home with the kids. They had a decent house. They had a car. They had vacation time. The American dream. Now, Reagan and his wealthy boys and his old people and whoever the hell it was that helped him out stole that dream. Those constant, huge tax cuts for the wealthy destroyed the buying power, the purchasing power, the economic driving power of our economy, and left us holding the bag. The way to fix it is a decent, phased-in universal basic income. And why not? We're the wealthiest country on earth. Why shouldn't all our citizens share in that wealth? And not just those who happen to be lucky enough to be on top. Most of them guys don't pay decent taxes anyway. Hell, the secretary pays more taxes than most of our wealthy citizens. There are rare exceptions. A couple of them wealthy guys said, I pay a lower tax rate than my secretary. There's something wrong with that. It shouldn't be that way. But the majority of them keep their mouth shut and take the money. The only way to fight back, the only way to reinstate the buying power of the middle class and the poor, to get our economy on a straight track, instead of this curvy one that drops money off at rich people and shit every time they stick their heads out. Reagan said, I'm going to make you rich. The wealthy people said, we support you. The Republicans get the money to get reelected, give tax cuts to the wealthy, so they're paying less taxes and saving more money, but not investing because there's no demand. And that brought us to where we were right before the pandemic. And right before the pandemic, most people had no buying power that you could speak of. And as I said before, why the hell would credit companies raise your credit score unless they were trying to create demand? We won't give you money to create demand. We'll take your money and create demand. We'll talk you into spending more than you can afford to create demand. But God forbid we should take money away from wealthy people and give it to the poor. Isn't that what Jesus said to do? Give it to the wealthy and to hell with the poor? Isn't that what he? No, that isn't. He said, take off your crap and give it to somebody else. We can end abject poverty in America for good. We just choose not to. What are we, assholes? Come on. We can restore the buying power of the middle class, end abject poverty in America, drive the economy forward. And all we got to do is give people money. Which, by the way, is the title of a very good book written by Annie Lowry, the title of Give People Money. And it makes the case quite clearly. And every test of this study, and I think they just started a $500 a month universal basic income in Louisville as a test. But every test, every study has shown that people do not sit on their ass when they get that money. They spend it, which drives the economy. And they mostly spend it improving their lives. Every study has shown this. So whenever you hear, I don't want to give my money to somebody going to sit on their ass, you know that's baloney. That's baloney. And you give your taxes to the federal government, you really have no say in what they do with it. You can complain all you want. I don't want my tax money spent on this. It's one pot. The money all comes out of one pot once it all goes in. But to get back to the subject, we could end abject poverty in America forever if we choose to. We just choose not to. I don't know what the hell's wrong with us. But there you go. The greatest ripoff ever. The theft of the buying power of the middle class and poor was pulled off by Reagan and every Republican administration since then. And they stole so much revenue that they're raising people's credit scores so they can buy more and create demand because they killed demand. And let me just explain a little bit about how this works out, okay? You got the driver's license bureau. You got 2 clerks working in there. You get your lights, get your plates, blah, 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 right? Well, the federal government, in the money they give to cities and states to help them provide services for their citizens, was paying for one of those positions. Well, now, we cut taxes on the wealthy, and the federal government hasn't got enough money, as much money as they had, to send to the states to help the states pay for citizen services and such. So now, what happens to your 2 driver's license clerks? Well, one of them you're already paying for with your local taxes. And if you want to keep the other one, guess what? You're going to have to raise your local taxes to do it. And that's where the destruction of the wealth of the poor and middle class has taken place. Making up on the local level for revenue stolen by this upside down, what they called supply side economy. And not supply and demand is what they teach you in school. Demand, supply meets demand, back and forth, and drives the economy. Well, Reagan and his boys' supply side economics turned that crap upside down. You give money to the wealthy, they'll invest it, and as I have explained, they do not. Not if there ain't no demand. We can create demand, restore the purchasing power of the middle class, and end abject poverty. I don't see a downside. The only downside I could see is if you instituted it too quickly. The stimulus was instituted quickly, which there was enormous demand immediately. So I think if we instituted it, it probably would have to be on a phased in sort of way. So it wouldn't be too much of a shock to the economy. And why not? Why not reward our people for being good citizens? And if it's universal, it means everybody gets it. You can do what you want with it. No questions asked. And I've run into a lot of people say, well, I've decided that he doesn't deserve it. I've decided that they're lazy and they don't deserve it. Okay. Maybe they decided you are and you don't deserve it. We got to stop being judgmental and start being practical. We know what works. We know what'll do it. We knew it back in 1968. Matter of fact, you can Google people who support a universal basic income, and guess who comes up? Richard Nixon. And a lot of other people. So check it out. You'll find out we need to get back to driving the economy the right way with the spending and purchasing power of the middle class and the poor. That'll do it. Okay, cancer. They got me on 4 more treatments. I had one Sunday. I got one coming up this coming Sunday. We just keep doing the do. I might do a few more shows, but I'm pretty strung out. I got another one lined up. We'll see. Nice to see y'all. Y'all have a good time. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access.
Just roll me up and smoke me when I die.